When does a life become valuable? Is it in the moments we live it, or in the stories told about us once we are gone? If greatness arrives only after death, was it ever meant for the living at all? Imagine a small room in the south of France, the air heavy with the scent of turpentine. A man, restless, moves his brush across the canvas with furious tenderness. His strokes are thick, almost sculpted, as though paint itself were clay. Outside, the world turns indifferent. Inside, he is pouring his very soul into color. This man is Vincent van Gogh. Today his name glows like a constellation across museums, auction houses, and the imagination of the world. But in his own lifetime, his work was treated as little more than a curiosity. To most, he was a failure, a madman with a brush. Born in 1853, Van Gogh lived a life punctured by silence, rejection, and poverty. He painted not for applause, but for survival, for the unbearable need to externalize the storms of his mind. His canvases burned with yellows, swirled with blues, each stroke carrying both beauty and agony, and yet they did not sell. In fact, he sold only one painting while alive. Just one. His work was seen as too strange, too unstable, too far removed from the polished tastes of his time. He lived on the support of his brother, Theo, who alone seemed to understand the fragile brilliance within him. Letters between them speak not just of art, but of despair, hope, and an aching search for meaning. But here is the riddle. How does a man ignored in life become a myth in death? How does failure transform into genius? Overnight, after Vincent's tragic death in 1890, something began to shift. Collectors, critics, and dealers who once dismissed him now spoke of him as a visionary. His canvases, once unsellable, became sacred relics. His story, the mad painter, misunderstood, abandoned, doomed, became irresistible. And in this myth, value was born. Here lies the paradox of art. Value is not always in the creation, but in the belief others attach to it. Van Gogh's death offered the perfect narrative, the tortured genius, unrecognized by his time, martyred by his own suffering. The art market thrives on stories. Paintings are not merely colors on canvas. They are vessels of myth, of tragedy, of human longing. The more dramatic the story, the greater the demand. In Van Gogh's case, the market did not just discover him, it constructed him. But what does this say about us? That we need our artists to die. In Van Gogh's case, the market did not just discover him, it constructed him. But what does this say about us? That we need our artists to die, to suffer, to be misunderstood. Before we can call them great, perhaps we do not love art itself, but the drama of the life behind it. We buy not the painting, but the myth. Psychologists tell us that humans are drawn to tragedy. Van Gogh becomes not just a painter, but a symbol of beauty born from anguish, of light shimmering through madness. And philosophers remind us, meaning is rarely found in the moment. It is carved by memory, by the stories told afterward. Van Gogh's art teaches us that greatness is not always visible when it is alive. Sometimes it requires death to bloom. But here is the haunting question. Did Van Gogh truly fail, or did the world fail him? If fame arrives only in absence, is it still a gift, or merely an apology too late? Perhaps Van Gogh's greatest masterpiece was not a single painting, but the silence he left behind, a silence filled with longing, beauty, and unanswerable questions. And maybe, in the end, art is not what we see on the wall, but what awakens in us long after we've walked away.